Hey, thank you for taking the time to click on today's video. Inflation, inflation, inflation. It's all about inflation. I turn on the news and it's inflation this. I turn on the internet and read articles. It's all about inflation. I open up a newspaper. It's all about inflation. Friends talk about inflation. Family talks about inflation. We talked about inflation in Thanksgiving. We're not supposed to be talking about inflation during Thanksgiving. But yeah, we're talking about how much more the turkey costs and how much more the potatoes were and a gallon of milk nowadays. I'm absolutely sick of talking about inflation. But guess what today's topic is? That's right, we're talking about inflation. And I want to share with you what the best inflation fighter is going to be. And it's probably not what you think. You see, all of us have been conditioned to believe that if we really want to have an inflation hedge, we got to put our money into the stock market. And you know what? In some respects, that's absolutely true. In some respects, it happens to work out where having my money in the stock market is a good inflation hedge. But you know what? There is times that it is absolutely not true. In fact, let me just kind of give you this as an example. From 2000 to 2007, the stock market ended up losing 50% and then making a 100% recovery. Now, you might be thinking from 2000 to 2007, well, it's not a big deal. You know, my balance came back, my 401k came back. I was good. But were you really good? Because during that period of time, there was 19 to 20% in inflation. And if we understand what the stock market does, if I've got 100,000 and I lose 50 and I get my 50 back and now I'm back to 100, guess what? I haven't made all of my money back. I'm now behind 20% for inflation. Let's talk about 2007 to 2013. 6 years where the stock market lost 63%, and then it had to make all of that back, and it had to do it in 6 years' time. But during that 6-year period of time, which, by the way, 6 years is quite precious. If I'm retired, that's my go-go years, that's my time, and I don't want to be waiting for my money to come back during that period of time. But I digress. What kind of inflation do we have during that period of time? Well, during that 6-year period of time, we had 15% inflation. So let me ask you, if you had 100,000 and you lost literally 60 of that, and then you had to wait for all of that 60 to come back to you, were you really truly ahead? And the answer is no, you weren't ahead. You basically broke even in dollars, but you lost in buying ability. So what is the inflation fighter? The inflation fighter, it's got to be precious metals, right? And the answer is no, it's not. In fact, let me ask you, during this last bout of inflation, what has precious metals been doing? What has gold been doing? I don't harp on precious metals other than to say it is nothing more than a commodity, is nothing more than another asset class. And if you want to own it, fine, own it. But please own it the right way. Own it in coinage, because not only do you have the melting value of that coin, but you also then have the antiquity value of the coin. In other words, if I own silver eagles or I own some gold coin, I can take that and I can exchange it for the metal price, or I can take it and I can sell it because it's got antiquity value. It's got a collector's value to it. It's a coin. It's a legitimate currency. These people that own bullion, I'm not going to make fun of them, but it is so impractical, because what are you going to do? You're going to bite off a chunk of that bullion and then go into Fairway and say, hey, can I buy a loaf of bread? It's very impractical. And you see, because it's a commodity, when you buy it, you have no control over it. It doesn't pay you any income. It doesn't pay you interest. It doesn't pay you dividends. It's basically worth whatever the market will bear at that particular time. So what is this inflation fighter? The inflation fighter is income. Now, it could be income that I suppose you get from working full-time or part-time, but that's not the income that I want my clients to do. If I have a client who's retired, I want them to actually do what they say they're going to do. I want them to retire, and I want them to have income, but I want them to have more income than what they need, and I want everything in their assets, everything that they're investing in. I don't care if it's equities. I don't care if it's fixed income. I don't care if it's in the insured category, even the really boring category. I want all of their money earning interest and dividends, interest and dividends, interest and dividends. And we don't want some paltry 2%. I don't want a mutual fund that pays me 1.25% a dividend, like most do. I don't want a 2% dividend from a stock. I demand more from my principal. I demand more from the investments that I make. I want my money making at least 4%. And if I can get it, and if I can get it safely, I want better than 4. I want 4.5. I want 5. I want 5.5. I want 6. But I'm going to have to diversify. I'm going to make certain that I don't have all my eggs in one basket. And you see, if my principal is producing, say, just a conservative 4%, and I've got income sufficient to be able to cover my cost of living, my needs, the things that I want to do, the places that I want to go, I know that I have an inflation hedge because I know that my money is very steadily moving along. You see, when your money's in the market, when your money's in the stocks, when it's in mutual funds, outside of the dividend that you might get paid, you're a sitting duck. And that stock is no different than the spot price of gold or the spot price of silver. Shucks, you could invest in oil. Those things are either going to go up or they're going to go down. And there is no guarantee that when inflation spikes in our country, that those things that you own are going to spike as well. There's no guarantee of that. But that's the reason we want a portion, maybe even a majority of our money sitting in income producing things. Things that are going to be producing that 4, 5, 6% in interest and dividends. Because then I don't have to worry as much about the value of that thing. And number 2, I don't have to sell shares if I need that income. Now, that's kind of new. Maybe we should think about that. You see, when I own a mutual fund, if I need income, because the income that I'm getting from Social Security, the income I'm getting from my pension, the income that I'm getting from other sources, it's now no longer enough for me to be able to cover what I need for income. Well, guess what? If I'm in that thing and I have to sell that thing, now guess what? I've lost that thing. That thing is now gone. It's gone forever. I'm never going to get it back. And that's the problem. If I have to sell my shares, if I have to sell my shares to get my income, I'm liquidating and cannibalizing my principal. So if you really want the inflation fighter, and you want to do it the right way, you want to do it with consistency, I argue that fixed income is a beautiful thing to implement into your portfolio because it's going to be one of those diversifications from your equities, and it's going to be something that's going to produce a tangible, spendable income. And either you save it and you reinvest it and grow your net worth conservatively, or you take it out and you spend it so that you can have the money, the income that you need in order to be able to do the things that you want to do. So, I'm Matthew Johnson. I thank you for watching this video. And if you like these little videos, I'm going to encourage you, give us a thumbs up, please. It's important to me. And if you like our little videos, I'm going to encourage you, hit the subscribe button and then that bell. And then we'll remind you every time we come out with one of these videos. And share this with your friends. So many of us today are struggling on this idea of inflation and what to do and how to conquer it. And this is maybe just one of those ideas that you've been looking for that's simple, it's easy, you can implement it if you work with the right person. So remember, it's up to you to make today a great day. Thanks so much for watching.